At SEN League with Mark Braybrook, myself, and the chainsaw Andrew McCulloch. We're going to let the mad Russian Adrian Prezenko go home. But the rumour
have an afternoon nest.
Yeah, he'll have a nest this afternoon.
Just a little siesta.
Yep. Hey, AP, what's on the agenda?
Yeah, Ronald Volkman, a story we haven't heard a lot about, guys. He was going to be the big, well, not big, but one of the off-season signings for the Dragons. And then his sort of situation was in limbo because he came over with a pre-existing shoulder injury. There was a lot of hoo-ha. It took about 8 or 9 months to work out who was liable for the $175K that he was out of pocket for because the Dragons didn't actually register a contract for him. But he has now made a recovery. He's doing contact. He wants to get back into the NRL. And I'm hearing the Sharks, Dolphins and Manly are the clubs that are looking at him as a potential sort of backup playmaker, add to their depth. So he's only played the 4 NRL games before this sort of drama with his shoulder happened. And he's a good young player when there's not a lot of halves on the market. And hopefully one of those clubs will give him a go and he can fulfil his potential.
So what's the latest on the actual injury itself? So it's fully recovered and...
Yep, he's had the operation. There's no sort of further complications. He was doing a lot of fitness training, but he can actually do some contact stuff now. He's into his boxing. He's doing a bit of that stuff as well, and wrestling, where a lot of the sort of MMA fighters go out in Western Sydney, one of those boxing gyms, and he's looking forward to getting back into it.
RCG. Now, many are saying he's going to go north of the border. I don't think the Broncos can afford him, even if the Paramount. So can you just correct something that's, I've had a couple of debates with people yesterday saying, no, Paramount have told him they can go. He's not even expected back at training. They don't have to pay him. I said, no, either way, whatever he's on, let's just say it's $850 for argument's sake. He is entitled to get that at $850, wherever that is from, in season 2025.
Well, this is really interesting, Sats, because as far as I'm aware, he hasn't got a landing spot, but he's already done a release with Parramatta. So say, for instance, he was on, you said $850. Let's say, for argument's sake, he's there or thereabouts. So Parramatta might say, you know what, you were contracted for next year. We're going to make that contract null and void. In order for that to happen and for you to get your release, we're going to throw in an amount. Let's say it's $200 or $250, whatever the case may be. So he now goes to market and he has to make up the rest of that money at his next club. And I think you're spot on. I think the Broncos would love to have him, but don't have the money. I reckon the really interesting play there is the Dolphins, just because Tom Flegler and the complications with his own shoulder surgery. There's mixed reports as to whether or not he'll be able to play again. I'm hearing that there's a big chance that he won't, that he's got nerve damage in his shoulder. There's some dramas there. And he would seem an ideal replacement in that pack if that is the case.
Where does that leave Daniel Saifidi then, AP? Obviously, there's a bit of chat about him potentially going to the Dolphins as well.
I was hearing that was sort of close to being done.
So, look, obviously, they can't get both of those guys on that particular money. But you never know, I guess, like you said, Flegler, they may be able to squeeze that in if whatever happens there. Hopefully not for, Fleggy's sake. But it's getting a little bit, you have to be getting a little bit worried, particularly what you hear from the outside.
Yeah, that's right. And it's sort of a curious situation for Parramatta in that they had their awards night on Tuesday. They presented RCG with a Ken Thornett medal as their best and fairest. And now they're saying, goodbye, you're the guy that we want to get rid of.
It's weird. It's strange. It obviously says something else too. And I know Reagan off the field. I've got a lot of time for him. He's a really good guy. But it says more about maybe his chemistry with the playing group as opposed to how good he's been on the field. If they're willing just to say, you know what, there's a release and off you go.
Is it a money thing? Just so it could be a potential money thing, could it?
Well, the thing is, I think that the club realised, and Jason Riles, the incoming coach, has gone, the game's gone past having two big guys. You can carry one of them. And in Junior Barlow's case, he's contracted for longer, so he's also the co-captain, which makes it harder to get rid of him. Whereas with RCG, and they've also tried to tap guys like Micah Seaver, also Ryan Madison, and they haven't been able to move those guys. Whereas in RCG, you've actually got a commodity that's sellable and an asset that another team is willing to pick up. So you just can't sell something that nobody else wants to buy, and that's the reason why RCG is the one that's being squeezed out.
So, I mean, are we hearing other than the Dolphins? Look, the Roosters and the Panthers have led to believe that they've got probably the biggest war chest with the amount of players, quality players they've let go. So it wouldn't be a bad landing pad.
Yeah, I've heard in the case of the Panthers, I think they're happy with what they've got, and they made a strategic decision to go with Isaiah Papali'i rather than try to replace James Fisher-Harris with like for like. We've also seen, after sort of asking for permission to look around, Corey Horsburgh has decided to stay put.
Yeah.
Which is intriguing. He obviously came back for the last 3 games for Canberra, all of which they won, and he's hugged it out with Ricky Stewart. So there's one less prop on that sort of prop merry-go-round. But yeah, look, it may be that maybe the Bulldogs will have a look at him. I know that Gus has got a high opinion of him, but I think Cameron Ciraldo is looking at a different style of football, like the way he goes for the smaller, more mobile forward. So, look, there will be a taker for him, but I just wonder whether or not the agent has brokered a release before he's found a landing spot somewhere else. And if that's what's happened, then that'll take away a bit of his sort of bargaining power in the market.
So you're saying that Reagan Campbell-Gillard pushed for the release, not the club to push him out?
Yeah, he asked for permission to look around, and then they've brokered a release on the back of that.
So why that means he's obviously misled some information, or he's going to back himself. He gets good payout from.
But if you ask for the release, you don't get a payout if it's your decision.
But it'd be a mutual one. He wouldn't have. No, it'd be
not necessarily. Like you can still say, "I'd like to look around," and then you could say, "I'm prepared to go somewhere else, but in order for me to find another home, I need you to kick in this amount of money." And I think that's what's happened.
Yep. Okay. So plenty more to come. One more rumour here on the text line from 158. Rumour, boys, Tyson Smoothie will be playing for the Roosters next year. We're hearing Sammy Verrills as well, aren't we? Possibly returning.
Well, with Brandon Smith, he's going to be out for an extended period. It would make some sense. Sammy Verrills is a really good player. We just haven't seen the best of him because he's just been injured for so long.
Yeah, you're right. Crunch time on a Saturday. We're here till 3 o'clock. Myself, Andrew McCulloch, and the Mad Russian, Adrian Prezanko with you again. Let's get to a break here and more after that.